Yo, what's up? My name is Patrouski, and welcome to my Xmas event 2025 prep guide for PokeMMO. This guide should hopefully touch on something for every type of player, and there are many different ways to play a holiday event within PokeMMO, so let's just start with the basics. First things first, the qualifiers. Everything I'm going to say here is subject to change. We never get any details within PokeMMO or any information given to us by the developers until the event itself is finally here. But also keep in mind I have been playing this game for 12 years and feel pretty comfortable in my guesstimations on what might come back this year. But let's go ahead and get started. The first question I usually get asked is, when is the event? Although we never really know for sure, all holiday events in PokeMMO usually drop on the day of the holiday itself, give or take 1 to 2 days. Events usually last 14 to 15 days, and historically, the Christmas event is the most likely event to be delayed from my personal experience. And by delayed, I mean it might not drop until the night of December 26th, but it's also possible that it could drop on the 24th or 25th. Not exactly the easiest time of year for people to be sitting around and waiting for a PokeMMO update, but we make it work, and that's kind of the beauty of it. I also usually release a video as soon as the event goes live covering all the changes with the update, so if you want to make sure you see that, go ahead and subscribe and ring the bell notification to make sure you won't miss that video. And if you find today's video helpful, liking the video physically helps me a ton, but only do it if you genuinely find a tip or a piece of information today helpful to you. If I don't have to earn the likes, what's the point of them? So anyways, next up, people usually ask, what is the Xmas event? What does it entail, Patrouski? The Xmas event is a collection of limited time in-game activities that you earn rewards that are limited to that year's event and will likely never return unless they are a seasonal vanity or some raid rewards. A good example of some of these rewards historically have been a lot of the elf bot costumes, which have extreme ranges in their prices. You can see some of these ones from 2016 reaching prices of 89 million Pokeyen for one piece, or as low as 150 to around 2 to 300k for the normal elf bot vanities. But there are also seasonal vanities like the red Christmas sleigh or even the purple Christmas sleigh, which return every single year. But don't worry, it's not all just vanity rewards. There are also things like specific alpha Pokemon and mysterious balls. But how do you actually get these rewards? Well, the activities, of course. Let's go ahead and go through each one of them one by one. The first activity is Xmas swarms, which are when you use Discord callouts or another social chat to run around and catch Xmas specific swarms and then turn those Pokemon in for mysterious balls, which are an item that you can either sell to make an incredibly good and consistent profit, or gamble and open them for a much higher chance at a shiny. I personally severely do not recommend opening them. As a shiny hunter myself, there are much better ways to spend your Pokeyen to shiny hunt, and the consistent Pokeyen from selling them is just so powerful, especially to newer players. You can usually make at least 200,000 plus Pokeyen per hour, maybe even up to 300,000 Pokeyen by consistently catching swarm Pokemon and then selling the mysterious balls. And all you need to do this activity is a good catching Pokemon or two, potentially a catching Breloom and a Smeargle, and then an HM Pokemon like a Dragonite. And then I do recommend having all of the regions done, but it's not required, but it will help your profits tremendously. Things could always change this year, but I do believe that catching swarm Pokemon and turning them in for mysterious balls is probably going to be one of the better activities for the average player in PokeMMO this year. Next up, activity number 2 is finding lost presents, which are these little sparkling Pokeballs on the ground where you can collect 2 of them every 10 minutes or so. And then once again, usually you find these out through Discord calls, team chats, global chat, or just your own exploration of the world. Although I do highly recommend using something like my Discord for these kinds of events. Even if you aren't a social person, even if you only join my Discord for the duration of the event for callouts and then leave the Discord afterwards, that is totally okay, and I encourage it. Get your bag and potentially help others get their own bag by utilizing the Discord linked down below to your own advantage. Now, I do ask that you please be cordial and follow the rules. We have to be a little bit extra strict during these event seasons to keep the Discord smooth and running well for the tens of thousands of PokeMMO players relying on it for these callouts. And I have to spend the time here to give a massive thank you to my Discord mods, as well as anybody else helping out with the callouts during these events. You are the backbone of the PokeMMO community and the real heroes in my book. But back to lost presents. Whenever you collect one of these sparkling Pokeballs, it has about a 50% chance or so to contain a lost present itself, which can be turned in for Xmas presents, which is a sealed product that can be opened for rewards that we'll cover a little bit more in depth here in a second. These lost presents also have about a 25% chance or so to contain some sort of hidden ability Pokemon. Last year it was Fungus, which is very relevant because Regenerator Amoonguss is a pretty powerful Pokemon, especially in VGC doubles, which just released in PokeMMO over the past month or so. There's also about a 15% chance or so to get either a mysterious Pokeball or a mysterious Great Ball, which is probably the best drop from the lost presents. And last year, there was also a 10% chance for a charcoal as well, which I assume means that you were on the naughty list, so you got coal this year. Better luck next time. There's also a greater overarching structure of rewards represented here on screen. And this was very detailed and very thoroughly represented by Xanarchy over on the forums using his text guide from last year, which will be linked in the description. I couldn't have made this video without him. But now back to Xmas presents, which are the main sealed product of the event in my opinion, maybe aside from mysterious balls, and they are the main way of attaining the new vanities that are brought into the event each year. Now keep in mind, we didn't exactly get that many new non-seasonal vanities last year specifically, but here are some examples of some of the vanities that came into the game last year, like the snow leopard ears, tail, and outfit, as well as the red and teal earrings, which I thought was a really cool addition to the game for players who want a vanity or accessory like that. And then the big hitters and the ultra rares of the event were the teal star rod and the red star rod. So the next activity is supposed to be the Stormy Scavenger hunt, but do we have to cover that one? Thankfully, this activity is just better to go ahead and wait until the event drops to fully explore it, but for reference, it is similar to the Pumpcat Scavenger hunt where you just run around the world and look for these semi-static encounters that can change location a little bit, and the end reward is a very limited alpha delibird spawn. So I mean, that's kind of cool. It is a very cool Pokemon, even if it's not the most pragmatically effective reward. And then next up we have raids, the big Christmas raids. This is in my opinion the main activity in the Xmas event, as there are 12 of them, and they usually trickle them out, releasing about one raid a day for the entirety of the event, or at least until they run out of raids to drop. And if you were able to defeat all 12 of the very different and decently difficult raids, in my opinion, much more difficult than the Halloween events, you have the right to take on the Jirachi raid and get your own permanent Jirachi catch, which is usable in both PVM and PvP within PokeMMO. There was also an Alpha Suicune raid last year, which we are very unsure if it will return this year or not. But the other 12 to 13 raids, in my opinion, are like a 95% chance to return in almost the exact same way they functioned last year. And if you want more information on these raids, as it is a big and in-depth topic, I do have a 2025 Xmas raid prep guide, which will be linked in the description. And I put a ton of effort into hopefully making that video as helpful as possible. So let me know how I did in the comment. Next up, we also got a worldwide shiny boost for wild-only encounters last year. This was a plus 15% boost to all wild Pokemon shiny rates. So that means that it does not affect things like eggs or fossils, or mysterious balls, if I recall correctly, even though shiny charm and donor status do affect those things, which personally I really like for balancing, but I'm not going to get into that spiel. Single encounters, fishing hunts, horde shiny hunts, all of those will potentially have a nice buff during the event this year. And you can see the shiny rates you were able to achieve last year on the top of your screen now. But I also think it's important to mention that they did also post up a shiny boost live during this year's Shiny Wars event during the summertime in PokeMMO, so it's also possible that we don't see this boost return in the wintertime because we've already seen it once this year. Next up is probably the most exciting news for old boomer players like myself, but even new players should be excited about this in my opinion, and that is the possible return of the Elfbot dungeon. This was a wave-based survival-style game mode that existed in PokeMMO for years and brought us a bunch of the Elfbot vanities. It was really strategic and rewarded the players for high skill and long hours of grinding. And there was this forum post made back in 2024 talking about how they missed it not being in the 2024 event. And one of the lead developers of the game, Q, actually responded to this post, saying that I agree and I'd like to revisit them next year. In previous years, we have seen a large amount of feedback regarding the lack of casual focused gameplay, hence why we began expanding on that in this year. The Elfbot dungeon requires so much technical attention that we had to scrap it this year, referring in 2024. How will Elfbots coming back affect other things, other raids, events, and other changes in the event? We don't really know, and we'll have to just see this year for the first time. But I think it's safe to say there will be plenty of content to explore this year in PokeMMO. Now, I believe that covers all of the Xmas event content, aside from things like market changes and new hidden ability access Pokemon. There are a ton of things in PokeMMO every single year, every single event that get affected dramatically by the event itself, even though they aren't a direct change. The market, the PvP metagame, and raid strategies often get a little bit of a shakeup every single year. But with the event itself finally covered, we can jump into actual preparations, which mostly consist of like 3 to 4 things. Step number 1, prepare any raid Pokemon you may need. Step number 2, buy any PVM items you may need, things like choice items, life orbs, and type gem. Almost every held item in PokeMMO has a use during raid. Now, step number 3 is studying the information and reviewing previous year's events, which you've already partially done by watching this video. Step 4 is to save up Pokeyen for flexibility, like if you need to buy a certain PVM Pokemon that wasn't prepared ahead of time or wasn't expected to be used in the event, as well as things like TMs or needing to make any changes to your Pokemon or to your items during the event itself. Also, saving up Pokeyen for investments if you are at that stage in your account is crucial. I plan to make some investment videos when the event actually drops, but I generally try to reserve at least 10 million Pokeyen to invest in each event within PokeMMO, while also making some Pokeyen on the side during the event itself, or even earning the rewards like the Xmas presents and mysterious balls and just holding those as investment. Now, if this is your first event season, I personally wouldn't even worry about making investments, because usually at that point, you're at the stage in your account where you're just trying to build up your initial capital. So keeping things liquid and having as much pure yen as possible is more important during the event, so that you can keep snowballing and eventually make those investments in your second event season. But everyone is different. If you want to try your hand at it within your first year, go ahead. New PokeMMO players are getting so much better, so much faster than when I was a new player. So I don't want to underestimate some of these new hungry players who are willing to put in the hours and grind. But at the same time, you have to keep in mind the risk you're taking when you make an investment within PokeMMO. There's no guarantee the cost of these items will go up in value, and no one can predict a market perfectly. It is a real commitment to have your Pokeyen tied up for potentially years on these items you cannot use. I always suggest to people personally that if you cannot hold an investment for at least 2 years, don't even bother investing. You don't always have to hold it for that long, thankfully, but I believe that should be the metric or the bar, because investing requires patience and capital. I see far too many new players, quote-unquote, invest in the Halloween event, only to then sell all of their quote-unquote investments for a small loss or even a small gain with listing fees when the Xmas event rolls around, because it's the new shiny thing, and then they rinse and repeat that process for the Lunar New Year event. I see this every single year, and I try to warn players not to make the same mistake that I and many other players have done ourselves in the past. Wisdom is learning from other people's mistakes, which is why I am not a very wise man. But I do usually at least learn from my own mistakes, so that's got to count for something. Now, I believe that should cover absolutely everything that you would need to jump into the Christmas event in PokeMMO in the year 2025. If I miss anything, let me know politely in the comments. I also want to give a huge shout out and thank you to Call Me Sensei, who makes some of the best text guides over on the PokeMMO forums, compiling so much of this information so succinct. If you prefer text guides, definitely go check them out, and the links will be in the description. We're really lucky to be at a point in PokeMMO where there are so many different types of guides depending on your learning style, when just 4 years ago, there were almost 0 guides about PokeMMO online. We have come so far. This community in this game has progressed so far in just a few years, and being able to witness that has been nothing short of a Christmas miracle. But I really hope you guys enjoyed this video or found it helpful in some way. I put a ton of hours into researching, compiling, scripting, and even recording for this video. I had to go buy the Starmie outfit for this video for Arceus' sake. So if you could leave a like on it or subscribe for future PokeMMO content, it would be greatly appreciated. I do upload videos every single day on YouTube and usually stream Monday through Thursday at 12 p.m. ET on Twitch. Another quick reminder to join that Discord linked in the description to help yourself during the event, and if you want to leave it after, feel free. If you want to stick around and talk to other people who love this game, that's pretty cool too. And if you want to go above and beyond and get your name featured at the end of videos like this one, you can become a YouTube member for about $5 a month, or Twitch Prime or Twitch sub over on Twitch. If you have Amazon Prime, you can literally support me for free once a month, or check out the PayPal and Venmo links down below to more directly support me. Please only do these things if my content has earned it from you and helped you in your PokeMMO experience, plus you can afford it. I know that times are tough right now for a lot of people, and things get expensive during the holiday season. So please prioritize yourself and your loved ones first. But if you have the ability to wish me a Merry Christmas, I do really appreciate it. And it does allow me to be here. But a final thank you so much for watching, and good luck in the upcoming PokeMMO Christmas event. I couldn't be more excited for it. I will see you guys there. But for now, peace Reno. Yo, what's up? Outro Patrouski here. I wanted to take this second to say thank you so much for watching the entire video. It is thanks to people like you I'm able to make the content that I do, as well as everybody whose name is listed here. That's it for me. Have a fantastic day.